Hello and welcome to Sit Down Startup, where we at Zendesk get to talk to some of our most interesting and fast-growing startup customers. My name is Jeff Titterton. I'm CMO here at Zendesk. Today I am joined by Connor McCarthy from Flipdish. Connor, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Jeff.
Awesome. So first, tell us about Flipdish. What do you do?
So Flipdish provides online ordering systems for restaurants and takeaways, cafes, so in the hospitality business. We give them branded websites and an online ordering system and branded mobile apps so people can place orders directly to that restaurant or cafe as opposed to going through a marketplace.
And do they prefer that?
The restaurants definitely prefer that, yes. They've seen this marketplace is actually a bit of a problem for them. Initially they thought it would be great, they'll bring us new customers, but they're realizing that that's not quite what's happening.
Yeah. And they also probably get a better margin, right, if they go direct and have their own thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Flipdish came from a place of our initial idea was to build a marketplace. I'll bring you through the history of Flipdish.
Yeah.
I personally was frustrated ordering online. 5 years ago, the user experience was pretty poor, especially on mobile. I found one evening I was trying to order a takeaway. I'd ordered the week before using the same app, and the next week I had to enter my full credit card details because the app didn't remember it. I had to type in your address because it didn't use geolocation on your phone.
Yeah.
I had to reset my password and type in my email address and follow the link and all that. It was just not a nice user experience. So the original plan was to build a marketplace which had a nice user experience. So coming from the consumer's point of view.
Yeah.
And we went and did that. We built this lovely, easy-to-use app. We listed all the restaurants in Dublin where we're based on it. We didn't let them know. We just put all our menus there and put it out on the internet. We let people order from it, and myself and my brother, who co-founded the company, we got a text message whenever an order came through, and we rang up the restaurant and put the order through. But then, obviously, the restaurants found out. Of course, as we were doing it, they were listed online. We got our first phone call. We're like, oh, what will they say? They just wanted to update their menu, so it's fine. But then we actually had to go out and sign up the restaurants and give them a printer so we didn't have to keep calling in all the orders. And when we started talking to restaurants, something we probably should have done before we built a whole product, they educated us to lots of problems they were having with marketplaces. They basically said, yeah, your product is lovely, but we really don't need another marketplace. They told us that with the marketplaces, they felt they were sending their customers to a place that had all of their competitors listed, and they were sending their customers away and losing them because of it. And they told us what they really wanted was a direct ordering channel. They knew their customers wanted to order online. They knew people were using phones to order, mobile phones, smartphones, but they didn't have the technology themselves to accept direct orders. And they said, really, don't build another marketplace, just give us our own branded app and website. So we pivoted and started doing that.
That's a great story. So a couple things I love about that is one is I love startups are founded out of frustrating customer experiences. So you were frustrated by all that badness in the technology and you created something, and then you actually pivoted. Like pretty much 95% of startups end up pivoting at least once, right? Yeah. To meet a specific customer demand. So that's really exciting. And where are you today in terms of how big you are? Where are you located? What kind of restaurants are you serving?
So we serve 1,600 restaurants at the moment.
Wow.
They're spread across Ireland, the UK, and 12 countries in total. We have staff in Ireland, the UK, France, Germany, Spain, and New York. We have 3 guys in and we work over there.
All right. It's the beginning of the cross-Atlantic journey. That's exciting. Yeah. All right. So growing like that fast, funding is obviously a big part of a startup journey. So can you talk to me about how you're funded now, and then how do you invest the money how do you decide how to invest your money as you go forward?
Sure. So we've raised €7 million in total since founding Flipdish. Most of it was a 5 million round about a year and a half ago. With that, we've gone from 20 to 90 people. I think when we're deciding how to spend the money, it falls into 2 broad categories. Either should we spend money on the product, where we're building more product for existing customers, or should we spend it on acquiring new customers? So sales, marketing, and everything that goes along with getting new customers in. And on the product side of things, we've decided that for us it's best to focus on building more products for one type of customer. So restaurants, takeaways, cafes, that vertical, as opposed to being maybe the best online ordering solution there is, used across lots of different verticals. We think that for us it doesn't make sense to be a online ordering system that could be used by a laundrette, by a wine shop or a liquor shop, and restaurants, because if we were to do that, we'd need to market to 3 completely different verticals.
Yeah.
Like people who run restaurants don't read the same trade magazines and hang out at the same places online as people who run a laundrette. But a restaurant in one street will talk to a restaurant 4 or 5 streets away because they're in the same business.
Yeah.
And we want to build products that we want to become really, really valuable to a smaller vertical of customers, than to have this massive wide product range, which some people use a little bit of, other people use a little bit of.
Yeah.
So I think if we do that, we're not going to have the best product in any part of it, and we're not going to be hugely valuable to any single customer.
Yeah.
We much prefer to have a much deeper product range.
Yeah.
So that's kind of informs where in the product we spend.
Yeah. It's quite a large vertical too, right? I mean, there's an endless amount of restaurants, takeaway places, etc.
Yeah. There's like 300,000 in the US. Another.
That's right.
I
use a lot of them myself, I feel like. So, and do you have a lot of word of mouth growth between restaurants? So your customer is, you're a B2B, your customer is a restaurant. So are they telling each other about this? You see that happening?
Definitely. And it varies based on the market we're in. So depending on how, what sort of kind of critical mass we have in a market. So in Ireland, we've a large percentage of the restaurants over here, and there's a huge amount of word of mouth. We would always ask our restaurants to help us. Like we would have a Flipdish sticker on the windows so that other restaurants can see. So yeah, we do. But when we're in a brand new market, we don't have any brand presence, and so it's early on. It involves way more outbound work.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you actually have sales teams who are outbounding to those people.
Yeah, So
great.
that's another big area where we spend our investment, and it's something that's easier to work out in many ways than products, because we can measure it more easily. We can measure how efficient a single outside salesperson is compared with having an outside salesperson with a sales development rep helping them arrange meetings, compared with putting that money into Facebook advertising, where you can see the next day what the results were.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, great. So growth, obviously hugely important to you, especially if you're backed by venture capitalists. They are constantly asking you about growth. I know this very well. So you have to make decisions about going into new markets, right? Mm-hmm. So you're very penetrated here in Ireland. You're obviously less penetrated in New York, right, at this point, but you will become much more penetrated over time. What are some of the key challenges that you face going into a new market?
Quite a few.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I assumed that people in America spoke English like we do, but they really don't. So in Ireland, you'd order food for collection. In America, you order it for pickup. Yeah. So that little thing means we have to have a whole set of new strings in our apps and have a different language or culture set for the apps over there. In the US, it's normal to ask for a 25% tip on an order. If a restaurant in Ireland was to ask for a 25% tip, they'd be in the papers, because that was just a quarter of the order amount. It's crazy. Yeah. So there's lots of little product changes we need to make going into a new market. So another big change for us, because we're doing online ordering in Ireland, and I think all of Europe, it's normal to show the prices on the menu inclusive of tax. And you wouldn't even show the tax rate at all. You would just show if something costs €5 on the menu, you give €5. Whereas in the US, if something costs $5 on the menu, you give them $6.
Right.
Because there's tax
and a tip.
And a tip, yes.
Right.
Exactly. So there were a lot of little product changes that all add up to go into a new market. So that was one side of things. Then having satellite offices is a big change. Like we'd find ourselves in the Dublin office, the HQ, making a decision and letting the office know. But then you'd realise that all the other offices have no idea, and you have to really make a concerted effort to communicate with them and make sure they feel that they are part of the company, because they are, it's just a different thing than when everyone's in one place and you can just have a sit-down meeting with them.
Yeah, communication becomes incredibly important as these companies start to scale, definitely. That's great. So switching topics a little bit. So obviously you're a technology company. Tech is very important. Just listening to you talk about localization, et cetera, there's just so many things that can go wrong. What are some of the technologies, what are the apps and tools that your teams are using today to be really successful as you scale up so quickly?
So I'm just old enough to remember a time before Slack.
Yes.
So at the start of Flipdish.
I remember that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Those dark days. No.
Yeah. So I remember at the beginning of Flipdish, I'd be looking for a text message. I knew James or someone who sent me through my text messages. Then I realized, oh no, it was in WhatsApp. And then I got onto Slack or onto Skype and sent him a message.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, oh yeah, check the email. And we'd be all over the place, all these different channels. And it's just become a lot nicer having a single place for all work communication you can go to. So that's one thing that's changed, improved how we work to an extent. That's one big one. The nature of our business with the localization, a lot of our business is taking payments from people ordering food and having a payment provider. We use Stripe, which allows us to go into new regions without doing any extra work on the payment side. For us, is really valuable. I think one reason our user experience in the app is really nice is because we don't push people through unnecessary barriers. Like one of the things that really frustrated me when I was ordering 5 years ago was that I had to go through 3D Secure for like a €12 transaction. I was like, this is just stupid. I mean, you know where I live, you know so much about me. I shouldn't need to go through 3D Secure where I'm sent off to my bank and on my phone I have to move the page around and enter 3 digits of my code. So being able to go into lots of countries, especially where they have different payment methods. So in the Netherlands, they use a system called Ideal, where it's like a bank transfer, where we can do that without doing any new integration work. It's great. Belgium, they have a whole different system. Poland, they have a whole different system again. But we don't have to do any extra work because of using a global payments system. Yeah,
it's amazing. I'm old enough to remember those dark days when you'd have to manually add one of those payment systems in and be like, get on the backlog with the engineering team to, and in 3 years they can add direct debit in Germany or whatever these payments are. Yeah, that's great. Services like Stripe have really opened that up for companies. That's awesome. Expanding on that question, are there any technologies that give you a competitive advantage at your company?
Well, I'd like to say Zendesk gives us a competitive advantage. We use it, but it seems like everyone else uses it as well. So it's just getting us on a level playing field.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So we started using Zendesk internally initially. We found that. So we have a factory team who set up the new restaurants that come on board. They would set up, enter information, enter their menu, get their delivery zone set up, that type of thing. And it would be typical for our support team to send requests. They used to send emails over to the factory team, say, hey, can you do this? Then they'd reply. But then as the volume of restaurants built up, and we're doing hundreds a month, then it became unwieldy having these thousands of emails going around and trying to keep track of what was going on.
Yeah.
So we first brought in Zendesk to allow the support team to create tickets for the factory team, and then if the factory team needed to get help from tech, they could assign that ticket over to somebody in tech, and the ticket never got lost. You could see what's still open, and things just wouldn't get lost in the massive email inbox.
That's great.
So that's, and then it kind of spread to all the other teams in the company. Because we'd find, okay, we need somebody from another team to look at this, so we get assigned over there. So that's been really useful
great
for us internally.
Yeah.
And then it spread to an external facing thing where people, our restaurants, our customers, send us in messages. We doesn't just go into an email inbox now. We have something we know that we can follow up, and it's great now that we can measure, are we getting back to people in time? Are we solving their problems? And I think, so that's really helped us.
Do you also serve end customers, the restaurant's customers? Do you do customer service for them, or do the restaurants handle that themselves?
So the restaurants handle that themselves.
Okay, that's great.
We don't do that.
That's great. Well, I love the internal, external use case. That's something we see a lot more companies doing, because especially with a lot of our collaboration tools, it kind of enables a end-to-end really good customer service, and also helps your product teams, your development teams do better work. So that's great. So we live in a brutally competitive world, obviously. The great thing about how technology has exploded is that startups can be founded anywhere, and it's really exciting to me as a former startup guy to see startups, the days of them only being founded in Silicon Valley are long over, and they're now startups being founded everywhere. So this is great, and you're a great success story with that. That also means, of course, there's a lot more competition, right? Because everybody can create their own startup relatively quickly. So how do you, in a competitive industry, because you're competing against a variety of different types of competitors, including marketplaces, et cetera, how do you differentiate yourselves at Flipdish?
Good question. So I think I was thinking about this, how we are different. And it seems that the biggest difference between us and nearly all of our competitors stems from our pricing model. So for us, we charge transactionally, so that when a customer, an end user, places an order, that's when we make a small fee on it, as opposed to charging a flat monthly fee. So where we sign up for restaurants and just charge €100 per month. And that's difference, which I don't know any of our competitors who charge in a similar way. That has changed how our company is set up in so many ways. At a high level, it just completely aligns us with our customers. What they want from us is a system which makes it really easy for their customers to order online. And because we only make any money if a customer places an order online, it keeps us aligned in that. That shows itself in the way the product is designed. Like for us, it's if we have customers and opening the app and 80% of them place an order versus 70%, that's a massive difference for us. And so we place such a huge amount of attention to the user experience to make sure it's absolutely the best user experience for the people trying to order. Whereas if I know that as much as we'd like to think we would do that if we charged just a flat monthly fee, it wouldn't make any difference to us if the conversion rate was 70% or 80%.
Yeah. I really like that. I think it's, and then you can apply all of your expertise on conversion optimization, things like that a restaurant's going to have no idea how to do. They create great food. You help, and it's aligned goals. That's great.
Yeah, and it's very similar to charging a flat monthly is similar to how gyms operate, where their whole business is signing up as many people to have membership and have none of them ever go. But that's not what our restaurants need. They need people to go. They need their customers to order.
Yeah.
And it's changed how our company is structured internally. So we have an oversized success team when you would compare it with SaaS companies, and it's because we need people to make sure our restaurants are doing well online. So last week we had a restaurant, they had their own website, and they've embedded our web ordering into it, and their SSL certificate expired. And so we saw a dip in their web orders. Their app orders were fine because it doesn't go through the website.
Right.
But we saw a dip in their orders. So we were on the phone to them saying, hey, your website is down. You should get your webmaster to take a look at that. But if we were charging a flat monthly, that would never happen. That restaurant, their website could come back in 3 weeks and it wouldn't make any difference to us. So I think
they are never going to churn off of you. That's a great story. You're telling them how their website is doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and because of the way our pricing is structured, we need to do that. Like it's where we don't make money from them if they are not doing what we need them to do.
That's great. So you are serving customers that are far, far away from you all over Europe and now into North America. And you service those customers through email, chat, phone sometimes, but most of the time without a human touch. How are you able to create great customer relationships and really serve your customers when you're often far away from them?
So we use lots of different channels, like you mentioned. So it would be very normal for us to use WhatsApp for talking to our customers. They would, restaurants would be busy, and they just pull out their phone and send us a WhatsApp message. Yeah. And we actually recently set up the integration with Zendesk, which makes it much easier for us to have all of that in one place, which is
excellent.
Nice. But we don't tell our customers, no, you can't use WhatsApp, you have to use email because it goes through this particular channel. We want to use what they're used to. So we do that so that we can have instant communication with them. If they have a really quick little question about it, they can just send us a 4 or 5 word sentence and we can get back to them. So being able to do that helps build up a relationship because you have frequent contact points with them. And the fact that we're using technology and they're not face-to-face helps us scale a lot because we can always know their name because there's a CRM behind it, and It's a lot to ask our one support person to remember 1,500 customers' names.
Right.
But when they can, if they phone in and it pops up saying who they are, that is really helpful. So that helps us build up a relationship with them. We do talk to our customers on the phone. We often would have face-to-face meetings with them as well. So yeah, we try to not just say it's just an email once a week and you get a robot replying.
That's great. Well, and I'm really, it's great to hear you using WhatsApp, because if you think about working in a restaurant, I worked in restaurants when I was much younger, but it's a very fast moving, right? Things are happening on the fly. And so they probably often have a question very quickly for you that they need to have answered. So being available, whatever channel they want to be on is probably the right way to go. So that's great. Sounds like you're a very data-driven company. When you talk to me about conversion rates, et cetera, what are customer metrics that matter the most to you?
So, well, the average customer value is an important one.
Yes.
But we measure NPS for our customers. We have in our office, our headquarters, we have a big screen. The biggest screen is dedicated to the NPS of our customers. And we have our overall, and we have it split out by region. And our system is built so that when we send out an NPS request, people can reply. If they give us a 5, 6, or anything below an 8, they will be sent a question saying, hey, what's wrong? And all the replies will go up on the screen as well. So that's important for us. And it gives us really quick visibility to see are there any problems there. The whole company can see, oh, this customer had this problem, and then we can get it resolved. So that's a big one. Our menu team, who deal with hundreds of requests from loads of different restaurants. We've sitting on 100 restaurants, all sending us little changes to their menus. They measure CSAT, and that is very useful for them. They get to see are our customers getting what they need? Are we basically replying? So we can measure the response times and medium resolution times and all that, but it seems a bit further removed from how the customer feels. The customers could be really happy if you solve a massive problem for them and it took 4 days.
Yeah.
But we might expect our first response time to be a couple of hours. But that would be the wrong thing to do. If our customers are really happy with a slower service because it's solving their problems. So yeah, we tend to focus on measurements which measure the sentiment and how happy our customers are with us, as opposed to particular things like median response times. Okay. But I think that probably would change as we grow, as we become, if we were 10 times the size and we had more brain power and were more scientific and knew more about how response times affected customer happiness, then we would progress into a place where we'd pay more focus to that. But we're not there at the moment as a company.
That makes sense. And I like the focus on customer happiness, right? Customer satisfaction. And you're talking about how your goals are very aligned with each other. Your revenue goals are their revenue goals. Mm-hmm. Their satisfaction is your satisfaction. That's going to make you all successful together. That's a great model. So looking ahead, 5 years from now, which probably seems like 50 years to you because you're growing so fast, where do you see the business 5 years from now?
Well, I quite like where Zendesk is at.
Good answer.
So we're following your footsteps. So yeah, we're going to keep building products that our restaurants need. Where they're going to be our focus at the moment, and I don't see it changing, is on how their customers interact with their business. So that could mean different online ordering channels. So over the last few years, we have seen McDonald's put thousands of kiosks into thousands of their restaurants, and it's massively successful for them. Customers like using it. It's great for the restaurants. There's so many benefits to it. Mm-hmm. So that's a new product that we're offering, because not all the small and medium-sized restaurants can't go and build this technology themselves. So we're giving them an off-the-shelf solution. So that's kind of one new consumer-facing product for the restaurants, which we're offering.
Great.
So we see ourselves continue to do that type of thing, whether it be Alexa apps or chatbots to receive orders, all of that. A couple of years ago, we launched an API where any third party can come along and integrate with us, and we're seeing loads of companies pop up one day saying, hey, we've got this integration with you. It's been running for months and they have a question. We'd have no idea about it, which is great. So we'd have typically POS companies who want orders from Flipdish to go directly into the POS machine. They would build integrations. There's last mile delivery companies who do similar. The restaurant receives an order. They want to automatically dispatch a driver to pick it up. So we want to keep building out that ecosystem and build it up as a platform, and that will probably move into having an app store or a place where people can easily discover what integrations are available. So I think we'll continue down that route. But really, we're a tiny little company at the moment with 1,600 restaurants when there's 500,000 in Europe, hundreds of thousands in the US. So I think a lot of what we'll be trying to do is to reach that audience, and they'll all need direct online ordering if they want to survive over the next 5 years. What we've seen, as I mentioned at the beginning, with food marketplaces, these the likes of Uber and Deliveroo, great businesses and so forth, but they're very, very bad for small and medium-sized restaurants. They're going to restaurants, listing them on their marketplaces, having them send all of their customers to the marketplace, and soon, and actually now, in many countries, they're building their own brands and having their own kitchens and listing them at the top. So all the people who, like John's Takeaway, sent all its customers to one of these marketplaces, is going to see Jones Takeaway just above them, selling very similar food, targeting his customers. Yeah. And that's it's a real threat for the restaurant industry. So over the next 5 years, we're going to continue to work and help the restaurants defend themselves from that.
All right. Well, great. That's an ambitious goal. I'm looking forward to seeing how well you're doing 5 years from now. I'm excited for you. It's a great business model. So, last question. Most startups fail. You have made it, right? You say you're tiny, but you have 1,600 customers. That's a success, and I see this continue to be a success. What advice would you give to other startups who are at the beginning of their journey?
Okay, so I think that the most important thing that they have is time. So they should realize that they don't have all the time in the world, and it could mean they should understand that not all business models are good business models. They should think about what they're doing and understand that maybe they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. Even the best people in the world, if they're put into a terrible industry that isn't growing or isn't going anywhere, it might not be the best use of their time. So just think about that, and if they feel like they should stop, they should probably stop straight away and do something new and pivot, because there are lots of brilliant business models out there and things they could be working on in that time. It'll take you 8 weeks or 8 months or 8 years to get them done, and that's grand. At the end of the period, 8 weeks say, you see value from that. But if you work on them each individually, you'll also get them all done in 8 weeks' time, but you'll see value from the first thing after the first week, which is a big difference than waiting 8 times longer. So I think it's important just to keep focus and do one thing at a time and get it out the door, see value from it before moving on. And also, it's much easier to not context shift and do 2 things at once.
Yeah. So I think that's great advice for everyone, not just startups, but it's particularly good for startups. So great. Well, thank you so much for joining us at Sit Down Startup. Let's check in soon.
Thanks very much.
All right.